Hi, this is Ren,
This is Casey.
and we have a guest today, General Zod, a YouTube subscriber who wanted to talk to us about our podcast of Wonder Woman.
Yay, go clap.
Hi. Hi, how you guys doing?
Good, how are you doing?
All right, doing all right. Looking forward to talking about this.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So I guess we start off with the first topic, I guess, which is you guys think Wonder Woman got too much praise? Because first of all, I like the movie, obviously. If I had to rate it off the top of my head, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. I think it was a good movie. I think it was a decent superhero movie. But I do think that it's gotten a lot of positive buzz, like even like a couple weeks before the movie, which I think that's I don't know. I think it's great to have a woman leading a film, especially superhero film, because it's never been done really successfully.
Yeah,
And
that is true.
But, I mean, to be fair, superhero movies, even though they are kind of being an onslaught lately, that's still a fairly niche market.
Yeah, and so in box office records, most female-led movies open around I think 80 million, unless they're like a sequel, like The Hunger Games or something like that. And this was something to break that trend, but it was Wonder Woman too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so on brand alone, obviously it's going to sell more. I'm actually shocked that there wasn't a Wonder Woman before this. I personally would have loved to have Demi Moore as Wonder Woman, but that would have been like way earlier, back when she was right off of G.I. Jane.
Well, that also would have been around the time that they started trying to make a Wonder Woman movie.
yeah, they
Because it's
tried.
been about that long.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I mean, with a character this iconic, I mean, this character is way more iconic than Green Lantern or several of the other characters. So, I mean, this is definitely due.
Yeah, I mean, I've been waiting for this movie, almost 10-ish years? I've been waiting for this movie for a long ass fucking time.
Yeah.
And I was happy to see Patty Jenkins make a very financially successful movie. I hope she had a really good contract where she's going to get a lot of financial benefit from that for her next movie. That would be awesome.
Have you seen Monster?
Have I seen? No, I have not seen Monster, but I know that's the one that
Now.
she directed. Charlize Theron with her acting. Yeah, no, I haven't seen. I've seen. I know I know what happens. I've seen the synopsis of it, and I saw clips of Charlize Theron's performance, and I know Patty Jenkins went to the Art Institute, I think. So I think that's Monster is pretty much. I think that's her only big movie. That's what most people know her for. I think that's.
Yeah, it's her first movie too, and to break out with a movie like that, I really had a lot of high hopes for her, and then she didn't really do anything besides the killing an episode of Arrested Development and a couple episodes of Entourage.
Yeah, she's kind of laid back. She didn't all through. I'm glad that Wonder Woman is getting the praise it's getting, but I don't want it to create a false narrative, not only for film, but superhero films, women in film, and the DCEU, because I hear a lot of people saying like, oh my God, the DCEU is on the right track. And I'm just like, we still have Justice League coming. It's a few months away, and these movies were filmed pretty much around the same time. So just keep your expectations in tow, because when the DCU first started, well, first there was Man of Steel, and Superman is one of my favorite superheroes. And so I saw Man of Steel, and I wasn't feeling that too much when I saw it. And then Batman v Superman was announced, and I told myself I wasn't going to watch any trailers for Batman v Superman. And so I went into it not watching. I think I watched the first teaser, the very, very first teaser, and I didn't see anything. And so you can imagine how disappointed I was when I saw that. I actually had to see it twice. I saw it like twice in like 2 days to make sure I wasn't missing something, you know?
Yeah, that's what Ren did too, because he was working at the movie theater at the time. So he got an early screening and then still saw it when it came out to be like, it couldn't, that's not real. But getting back to what you were saying about like the false narrative, that's kind of exactly what I think, because I think whether you like the movie or don't like the movie, you kind of have to admit that it's too hyped for female lead, when people are like, she's the finally a woman who kicks ass, she's the first woman that my little girl has to look up to, she's the first female on screen that we've seen overcome insurmountable obstacles. And it's like that's such a way to completely ignore and erase decades of awesome women characters in movies, but then also, you know, women working in film. It's really disingenuous to be like, Wonder Woman's the first time we've seen this sort of thing, when film has a decades-long history, you know, decades and decades of really amazing, awesome, badass women, but also compassionate, caring women in film history to also look up to. It's really disingenuous to be like, this is the first one, even though technically it's the first lead in a superhero movie. To be like, this is the first time we've seen this on screen is just ridiculous. Like, even people who like the movie aren't taking this seriously.
Yeah, it's a very good movie. It's a very good, I think it's a good Wonder Woman movie. I think it's a decent superhero origin story. It doesn't like break the genre or go outside the genre conventions like at all. But it's very, I think it has a tight script, and I think it sticks to what it knows what it's going to do, which is just tell the origin of Wonder Woman. And it kind of ignores, besides the opening scene with her in modern day and the ending scene, it kind of ignores BVS, which I think helps out the movie a lot.
I knew that was kind of what the movie was going to be about because there was a leak, but I was concerned that it was like she was going to meet Batman and the whole movie was going to be her telling Batman her background story and how obnoxious it would be to be like getting into the story and cutting back. And I'm really glad that they didn't do something like that at all.
Yeah, you can almost just ignore those two beginning and ending scenes and just have that one stretch of her in World War One.
Yeah, pretty much.
I honestly think the movie probably would have been better, just a slight bit without having those scenes. I get that you're trying to, you know, set this up for the Justice League movie and her role in Batman v Superman, but it raises some problematic questions, particularly what the hell did she do during World War II?
Yeah, like what has she been doing since then? Apparently she's been in England and France, ? But I mean, we don't know yet if we're going to get into that later or what. Probably not, but maybe there'll be a Wonder Woman 2, and it's going to be WW2, as in Wonder Woman 2 and World War II. Probably not. But then you brought up an interesting point, too, about how people are like, oh, this proves that the DCU is on track. And it's like, they're still floundering so badly right now. Like, this is not indicative of a step in the right direction.
Well, yeah, I also think that due to the fact that it has been confirmed that there are reshoots going on for the Justice League, even though the movie is coming out this November, I believe. So I think that the success of this movie means that they're going to bring in Gal Gadot and they're going to shoot more scenes of Wonder Woman in the movie because that's what was successful. So I think that there are going to be some script revamps and all that kind of stuff, because oftentimes with these movies, they're writing the script as they go. And the movie hurts because of that. You need to plan ahead.
Warner Bros., has been known to be very reactionary, especially to this DCU universe. And so I really hope, like, movies go through reshoots all the time, and there's nothing wrong with them. So I really hope that's not the case.
Yeah, they added the Avengers post-credit scene. They filmed that the day that the movie was released.
Yeah, you know, you talking about the first one, the shawarma one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was tight. I think that was just a last minute thing. Thankfully, that wasn't like instrumental to the story. So no, they weren't like shooting like a little scene.
Yeah, but they're usually really tight-lipped about exactly what's happening. So you never know with reshoots exactly how extensive they are or exactly how different they're making it.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, it's not a great sign, but you know.
Yeah. Also, like, I don't know if there's like a news report that the composer was replaced.
Boo, Wendy Tusberger. Boo.
Yeah,
I'm not happy about that.
Instead of Junkie XL, which I think, I know he's working with Hans Zimmer on Batman v Superman, but I think the score for that was fine. I like the score on Man of Steel a lot, and
Wonder Woman's guitar riff. I mean, that's all Junkie XL, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that's all junky. But I think they replaced him with Danny Elfman, which to his credit, he did Spider-Man and Batman.
He did, but he also hasn't done very good work recently.
Exactly. So
yeah, he's just like a hired gun right now.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, he said that right now he's more interested in having creative rights over his music than like making money off of it. But it's kind of gotten to the point where most of the music that he makes is really bland.
Yeah.
Like Alice in Wonderland was the first soundtrack of his that I listened to, and I was just like, oh my god, it literally sounds the exact same the whole CD. It was pretty. Nah.
One of the things that blew me away is sometimes I listen to soundtracks on Pandora, and I was absolutely shocked when I heard the Transformers soundtrack. It's really good.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Arrival to Earth is one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, how do your movies suck so much when this music is so good? Yeah,
different facets.
Right. So moving on, you brought up talking about Gal Gadot as an actor in this movie.
Well, first, let me go back to when I first saw her first announcement of the casting. I only had seen her in the Fast and Furious movies, and she hadn't really had much to do in those. So I was like, okay, well, she's tall. Yeah. She has black hair. She doesn't have blue eyes, but that's kind of hard to find. Let's just see what she does. And I saw the first poster that they released in Comic-Con, and I hated it a lot because I don't think, first of all, she looks a lot better in the movie, but in that poster, I don't think it did her justice at all, or Wonder Woman, because first of all, the skirt looked really skimpy in that poster.
The skirt is really skimpy.
Yeah, I think I really just sat myself down. I was like, okay, so is it the casting that I don't like or the costume? So I like looked up like years of like Wonder Woman costumes to see what my problem was with this costume. And she's worn like short skirts before, but then again, those are drawings. So I'm just like, okay, so let me just look at like cosplayers or things like that, video games, action figures, and those look fine in shortest skirts too. And even in some angles in Batman v Superman, sometimes she doesn't look good, but sometimes she does. So I'm just like, maybe it's just a thing that I have to get used to. I don't know, but I would have preferred personally with Gal Gadot's figure because she's kind of slender. I feel like it would have benefited her to go with the New 52 design where she's just like fully clothed, and I think that would have worked better. Which they might go with that in the mono design with her next movie.
Probably not. I mean, I'm basing that off the fact that her other outfit in her solo movie, like her new Wonder Woman outfit, was basically a naked suit.
Her
with the nude colors.
Yeah, it's like her skin tone, and it's also sleeveless and really short skirt, and she has one tiny pad on her shoulder, but like there's nothing protecting her at all.
I'm talking about her training uniform. And,
like her Themyscira outfit, but I call it her naked
I think it
outfit.
kind of looked. Yeah, I think it looked kind of weird in the promotional art that it was released with, but in the movie with the colors and the green and stuff like that, I think it looked fine to me because the colors like they're very different from that poster, and she's moving around in it a lot, and so
lighting did help make it not look like her skin tone.
Yeah, I actually like the Amazon's costumes a lot, especially Hippolyta's. It looked very royal and regal, and I like how her like she's kind of flowed when she twirled, and it looked really cool. And I liked how they revealed her Wonder Woman's costume too. Like they kept it covered for like most of the movie until like the hour and 5 minute mark where she goes onto no man's land and reveals that. I like that because a lot, especially Batman v Superman, it didn't have a lot of introductory shots or establishing shots like at all, and that really bugged me. But this one, it has establishing shots. It builds up to things. Like the whole movie is basically building up to that no man's land scene and her suit, and it knows which beats to hit. Like I said, it's very like by the numbers. It doesn't like stray from the genre too much, but it knows what it wants to do, and it does it well.
Well, kind of what you were kind of going off of with the casting. For a while, it was a little bit up in the air whether it was going to be Gal Gadot or Gina Carano, because Gina Carano really wanted to play Wonder Woman, and exactly like you said, pretty much I looked at that scene from Fast and the Furious 5 where they're ganging up on some guy and Gina Carano whoops his ass and Gal Gadot stands to the side and does nothing. And I was like, that's your audition tape. Like, it's pretty obvious which one of those two is Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and they even referred to her as Wonder Woman in the movie Haywire.
Yeah, Haywire was pretty much Gina Carano's audition tape for me. The only thing about her, like, I think she's a good actress, especially for what she's done, and she looks like Wonder Woman. I mean, I guess they could have made her taller in the film, but I mean, her height.
One of the things is they're wearing really heels.
Short.
Like, the costume designer was very insistent that all of the Amazons wear heels. But as long as that is the costume design, that's immediately going to make her a lot taller anyway.
Also, Hollywood has a history of playing with heights. Tom Cruise is as far as Hollywood, He's my height.
Hilarious.
I'm 5'8", so
Johnny Depp is shorter than me.
yeah, there are a lot of short actors that they do very interesting camera tricks and stuff, and so like height really isn't an issue when you have boxes and stuff that people can stand on or trick shots, and height really isn't an issue when it comes to films.
Right. And as far as casting goes, especially for the DCEU, I think they've had pretty good casting. Ben Affleck really surprised me. I was expecting to see Ben Affleck, like when I was watching BVS, I was expecting to just see Ben Affleck and not Batman, but he surprised me, reminded me how much of a good actor he is. But I don't think there's like a really, especially for these iconic characters, I don't think there's really a perfect casting. Like there's always someone else you can see as Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman. It's not like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man or Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Like I can't see anybody else in those roles, not easily, you know?
Yeah.
Where I think they fail with the casting 100% is in their villains. I mean, good God.
Okay,
I think everybody agrees on that one. Can we all agree that that was just atrociously bad?
I mean, Jared Leto as Joker, what the hell are you going for? You're making him like a cholo, and
I don't know what he was going for in Suicide Squad, because I saw Suicide Squad once and me and my friends were just riffing on it the entire time we were watching it, because we were like, why is he changing accents? Why is Harley Quinn changing accents?
Well, and then the big one where it's like your laugh is just Heath Ledger's slow clap from The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
How like oh my God. Yeah, that was pretty terrible.
I don't know if that was just his like performance, because I feel like I haven't seen so much as Jared Leto, but he won an Oscar, so he has it in him. But I don't know if it was just, I don't think someone should have directed him more like, this is not what you should go for. I think you should go for something.
Fair, when you look at his script, I don't know how much better any actor could have done. You know, I'm not saying that like, oh, Jared Leto was awesome and totally blameless. Like, he was definitely a dick. Let's not beat around the bush on that. And for not a lot of payoff, I don't think he was really committed to the Joker in any real character-driven way.
Yeah, and the behind-the-scenes stuff made us expect something more out of that role as well.
Right, and then Jesse Eisenberg, of course, got a lot of shit too. But when you look at the way that these villains are scripted, it's like, I don't think you could have taken the perfect actor and given them that script and had it work.
Right. And
I feel bad for David Ayer too, because I really like, one of my favorite movies, or at least from him, is Fury. It's not like the best movie, but I really like how he directed it, especially like visually, like how the tank shells look like lasers. And like the short time I was with those characters in the movie, I felt the camaraderie, and I was expecting that camaraderie in Suicide Squad, and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
I was hoping because I really like the movie Training Day, and like I expected a lot more from him based on that as well, because like Suicide Squad shouldn't be that far away from Training Day.
Yeah,
and with the DCU, I've been saying and explaining to people that the directors always kind of just the directors. These are producer films. I really hesitate to call like Suicide Squad a David Ayer film.
But
I can see
I gotta say, Ares is hands down the worst villain out of all of these movies.
He's pretty much the second worst betwing the DCU and the Marvel.
I don't think he's
Thanos. Thanos has done nothing for like 8 movies. That's a little bit worse, but only barely. Like,
I'm sorry. Reading comic books and saying this character is so amazing in comic books when all he has done for the past 5 movies is sit in a chair is not enough for me to be interested or excited about this character.
I'm just hoping, because I feel like they like in Marvel, like Thanos, I feel like they've been figuring out how to build up to him. Like they put him at the end of Avengers and they're like, okay, now we have half a decade of movies to plan to figure out how to get this guy on there. And so I think that's why they put Black Panther and Spider-Man and all these other characters in here, so they can build up a roster to go against him. So I'm very curious to see how they will portray him. But I think as far as Ares goes, I don't think he's like the worst villain in these movies, but I did kind of laugh that the mustache was, I think I could handle the mustache when he came out. I think it was fine. But then what killed me was in the flashback.
Yes. Oh my God.
Mustache. Me and my friend saw the movie. I was like, I don't think Ares got mad at the gods for the humans. I think the gods just cast him out because he wouldn't grow the same beard as them. And he was
Mhm.
like,
Totally
this mustache,
Cesar Romero that shit.
Oh my god,
this
so hard.
mustache totally works. It totally works. I'll leave you guys. I'll show you. I'll spend decades showing you that this mustache works, and it doesn't. It doesn't work.
No, not at all. But I mean, like I was saying, a lot of it too. It's just the dialogue that he has is really terrible. You know, this whole "we're not
I
so
will
different,
destroy
and
you."
yeah, I will destroy you, and I will show my father, and let the hate flow through you. We are not so different, you and I. You know, it's just it's also
Yeah.
pointless and
I mean,
ridiculous. You had better build up with the actual German villains than with the God of War, which was
Yeah,
a
I
little
don't think-
ridiculous.
Yeah, my friend had an argument when I was watching the film, and he thinks that would have been better if like Ares wasn't even involved in the war and it was just a war, which I think would have been
Absolutely.
a strong point to go with. And I think the movie would have had to been written differently from the ground up because they built up Ares like from the beginning.
I mean,
And I
yes,
don't-
but as long as we're pushing off Thanos for forever and ever, and Wonder Woman is their attempts to marvel it up, why not just focus on, oh, well, I thought it was Ares, and then you had like one of the best scenes in the movie with her and Chris Pines arguing about whether or not humanity has the capability to be that evil on their own without Ares. I thought that
Right.
was such a strong thematic point that they immediately overruled by saying, no, it was totally Ares. Don't worry, you guys.
Well, also,
they
if
were
you're
trying to
going
have
to
it-
throw away the Clay story and not have that actually be Wonder Woman's origin, why not do that with Ares as well? Make Ares a concept. He once was a god, but now that he has passed, Ares lies in the hearts of evil men that want to commit war.
That would have been interesting. Yeah, I think it would have made the movie less generic too.
Yeah,
I think it would have broke
exactly.
that a little bit, but I kind of just fell into it, which I think it works fine, but it doesn't mean that it could have been a whole lot better, you know? I think it just works fine, but it makes it kind of forgettable. Like you kind of forget the last act besides Steve Trevor's sacrifice. That's what you remember, not Ares. Barely.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Steve Trevor's whole airplane ride kind of outshone everything else in the entire climax.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of the airplane thing, that really reminded me a lot of Captain America, the First Avenger.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
a lot. And I was-
And I
Yeah.
feel that they tried to make this a World War I movie just to avoid people drawing too many parallels. I think that's really the only reason why this takes place in World War I, because yeah, technically Wonder Woman fought in World War II. Didn't she
Mhm.
also punch Hitler at one point?
Yeah.
So I feel that that was kind of a response to that. And I'd kind of like to talk now about how this like compares to the comic and the old era of Wonder Woman, especially the TV show as well.
I kind of personally think it would have been really interesting if they stuck with World War II and they focused more on Wonder Woman with Etta Candy and the Holiday Girls. And that could have been a way to do World War II totally different from Captain America, but they didn't want to do any of that stuff.
Also, Gal Gadot is a Jewish actress. Like, why not take advantage of this whole Inglorious Bastards like style of like Jews getting back at the Nazis?
Oh, that would have been interesting. I think it would have been turned into a very, very serious movie. In the comics, or at least in the older ones, Wonder Woman's association with nations was pretty much to America, and besides the fact that it was Americans writing most of her stories, I think that it solely comes from her meeting Steve Trevor. But in this one, and I think this is sort of one of the many messages of the movie, that the lines are kind of blurred and that she's not fighting for America or fighting against Germany. She's fighting against evil. And so I was thinking about the casting or like her race as a Wonder Woman. I'm just like, she doesn't have to be American or, whatever. She just has to look like Wonder Woman. And for the most part, she does. And so they could have played that in her race into there. But I think that just kind of goes into the same argument as this being a feminist movie or something like that, where I think their strength and something that the DCU really needs to focus on is their characters most of all. And I think this is the one movie that leads in that direction.
Going off that concept of this being a feminist movie, I think it really shortchanges the women.
Especially Wonder Woman as a character. Wonder Woman as a character in this movie and nothing else, she sucks. Oh my god. I would not want like my little daughter to look up to her in particular.
Oh, I
If
have
that
to
was a thing.
disagree. I have to disagree. With at least with Wonder Woman. Why do you think she wasn't? I think she was a pretty solid character in the movie.
Well, besides the fact that she can fight, what are some characteristics of Wonder Woman as a person?
I think. Well, here's the thing. I thought of this test to see if a character is a real character,
Mhm.
and I think a good test is if you can visualize this character talking about something very mundane, like having coffee with someone, or just playing a sport, and you can imagine how they would do that, how different characters would do each of those mundane things differently, then they pass that test. And in this movie, Wonder Woman is headstrong. She admires all the women around her, and also
Wait,
I
wait,
never
hang on, wait. Back up. What women around her? There's
the
one.
the
There's one, and she treats her like a servant.
no the
Once they
the
leave
amp
the Amazons, but once they leave the
Yeah.
Amazons, there are no women around her except for Etta Candy.
And they shortchange the whole thing with the war nurses. They shortchange pretty much anything having to do with women helping to support the war effort, as well as the suffragette movement, which is a side comment. This movie, claims to be a feminist movie, and yet it shies away from all the things. And I get that some people are happy about that because they didn't want it to be too pandering, but Wonder Woman is extremely feminist, like from its very origins. And I was kind of disappointed that this movie didn't take advantage of throwing in maybe another Amazonian warrior into the man's world, or done more with Etta Candy throughout this film, because if this film is claiming to be this feminist film, it can't just be one woman, surrounded by men and barely passing the Bechdel test after you're out of Themyscira.
Yeah, and it is really weird that she's running around England and it never once occurs to her, like, why aren't there women walking around on the street? Why aren't there women fighting in this war? Why aren't there more women in the army? Why aren't there women commanding the war? When Etta Candy brings up the vote, she doesn't even ask her what that means.
I don't think this movie claims to be a feminist movie. I mean, maybe some people who view it, or some reviews or some articles, have placed that on this movie because it's easy and it gains views and stuff like that. But I think this movie, and I think what the director really honed in on, was Wonder Woman not solely as a symbol for girls or just superheroes. I think that she focused on her being a character, and I think that's never really something that we haven't really seen besides the Wonder Woman animated movie, which really didn't focus on feminist stuff much at all, besides some joking comments. I think this movie's strength and where it really goes into is her character and her resolve. And I think Wonder Woman's, she doesn't focus on the woman in the war or anything. I think her sole focus in this movie, and which is one of the lessons she learns, is that she's focusing on the evil within the hearts of mankind. Her views on evil are like Batman's. They're black and white in the beginning of this movie. And I think that's the struggle that changes from the beginning of the movie to what she believes at the end of the movie. And I think all that comes from not being a feminist character, but being someone who understands what real evil is. And I think that she learns that really from Steve Trevor. And in this movie, I think Steve Trevor is as much the main character as her, which I
agree with that.
I think that works because it shows that she's not like here's this one scene in No Man's Land where he says, like, no man can cross this land. And it would have been so easy for the movie to say, but a woman can, and do that. It didn't do that. And I think it didn't do that there. And I don't think it does that within the plot of this movie. I think it has a balance between Steve and her. And I think it's a very balanced movie as far as one representation, or at least, because Steve is really the only fully developed male character in the movie besides the side characters, and she is the most developed female character besides Hippolyta. And so I think that the movie focuses on them, which really the two real characters in the movie, and I think it works. I think it works in a character sense.
I definitely agree with you that it didn't have to be feminist with a capital F by any means. I really agree with that. I didn't really want it to be that pandering, but more of what I'm getting at is that besides the Amazons that she grew up with her whole life, she doesn't really have any relationship with any women. And I think that's kind of messed up when you look at the way she treats the only woman around her. She doesn't treat Etta Candy like her equal. When she first meets her, she has this whole cute line, quote unquote cute line about like, where I come from, that sounds like slavery. But then she proceeds to just treat her like her servant. You know, it's like, oh, follow me around while I have my shopping montage. Oh, take my things back to the office. But there's never, you know, you'd see Etta Candy trying to talk to her and her not having a conversation with her, not having like an equal dialogue. You didn't even have to talk about the vote. You didn't even have to talk about like feminist issues or anything like that. All I'm saying is that like in this movie, Wonder Woman is kind of up her own butt a lot. She's very self-righteous. She's very, my way is the one way. And she, you know, like you said, she's very solely focused on a couple different things, but it's kind of to the expense of her relationship with everyone except for the hot guy that she's fucking.
Also, she, at least to me, seems more like a Disney princess, kind of an amalgamation of a handful of Disney princesses, primarily Mulan and The Little Mermaid.
Nothing like Mulan, shush.
Okay, a little bit of Mulan, yeah, and The Little Mermaid.
I can see Little Mermaid. I think.
Yeah.
Well, they did the shot-for-shot remake of that scene from The Little Mermaid.
And
yeah, I think
the whole playing of her
did
naivety or whatever.
Yeah, I think they kind of did that on purpose. I can see it. I think I did that on purpose because just like the era we're in, because Disney has had this resurgence of being in the main conversation, especially Disney princesses and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think she's much like Mulan. I think Mulan is a better feminist movie than.
Oh yeah, I will agree with you on that.
Because I think it like really, because in that culture that Mulan was in that movie, it really focuses on that. They straight up say we're gonna kill her because she's a woman, and they do that multiple times, and they focus on that. But in this movie, I think they just play up the superheroism. I think it's a superhero movie. And it just it kind of betrays that, which I think there's room for that in down the line, because she has tons of stories to draw from. She has tons of, I think most of her villains are female, which it could do really good. They've done a lot with Cheetah in the new comics. I think they've actually made like Cheetah her friend, and then she became Cheetah in
really interesting.
in Rebirth. And
I really like stories that are like that too. Like if you look at Caesar and Koba from Planet of the Apes, or if you
I love
Caesar
exactly.
So much. Yes, exactly. But like when you look at the tragedy
my
of their relationship, it's mostly in that they were friends for forever and then they had to become enemies. You know, like that was kind of the storyline too in Prince of Egypt. I think that there's a lot of extraordinarily strong themes to pull from that sort of a storyline. And I don't see that sort of storyline with women very often in a not petty high school gossipy kind of way.
The only thing that I worry about having Cheetah in a movie is Gal Gadot really needs to push her physicality if you're going to convince me that she's going to fight against a character like that. Because one thing that I can say that I was a little bit frustrated with was the fact that Gal Gadot's fighting style doesn't match her body type. She fights like a heavyweight when clearly she needs to be moving faster and doing different sorts of fighting styles to convince me of her physicality in those scenes.
Right. I think the weird thing with Wonder Woman, and I kind of thought this about Superman too, is that their strength doesn't really come from their muscles, because Wonder Woman's strength comes from the fact that she's a god, and Superman's strength comes from the fact
skinny.
I think his strength, I know they portray him like that in the films, but in like reality in the comics, his strength comes from his body being enhanced by the sun, and like there's no way to visually represent how strong Superman is by his muscles. But I think like in reality, like when he was a kid, he was lifting 2-ton trucks and he didn't need the muscle then. So they do that in movies just to play that up because it's a visual thing. But in reality, he can be really skinny and he can still be doing the same stuff he would be doing, but it's a visual thing. And so when Gal Gadot fights like a heavyweight, visually it might not look like that. And I think I like the scene where she was moving really fast with the lasso, or a special effects version of her was moving really fast with the lasso. Just a point. I do like the movie, but I could really tell when it wasn't a stunt double or Gal doing the things, which is, I mean, you can tell that in most movies, but like I think this one, it was the lasso scene, it looked really cool, but it almost looked like a comic book. Well, comic movies should be believable, they shouldn't always look like a comic book, but it was still a really cool scene. But I think if she went up against Cheetah, I just think they need to change her suit a little bit more, because it doesn't look like she can move. I don't know how she ties her shoes. I don't think she can bend down. Quite honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, my problem with her fighting style is it's weird that this whole movie is entirely premised around the fact that Wonder Woman, whose whole thing is like wisdom, is quote unquote naive. aka kind of really stupid. But it's really bizarre to me that she doesn't ever implement strategy or real thought into her fighting at all, especially since like she's supposedly like so educated. Oh, we really know that she's educated in his, Kama Sutra style sexual pleasures or whatever. But it's weird to me that that's just like not a thing that ever comes up, because that's something that can develop her personality a lot visually.
Yeah, she seems really headstrong in this film, which is often to her own detriment. There are many scenes where I'm surprised, especially with some of the background actors, that when she walks out with a sword and shield, people aren't thinking that she's part of a play or anything. It's like they don't even notice her. That was just something kind of weird to me, or shock.
Yeah.
That like, oh, this person has a weapon. It just, same thing goes with when they were at the party.
And everybody can see that she has this not hidden at all sword in her dress, but nobody does anything.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I wasn't really looking at the background actors in that party scene, but I know everybody was looking at her, or well, I think they were. At least Steve Trevor was. So I don't know. Maybe they didn't notice, or maybe they just didn't care.
It wasn't exactly obscure or anything.
If you have high-ranking German officials, you would think that somebody would step in to try to, at least pull her to the side or something. But that didn't happen. It seems like the worst security ever.
Right, I can see that. I kind of laugh because I'm so used to spy movies where they're avoiding cameras and stuff, and I was like, "This is World War I. They don't need. Steve Trevor doesn't need to worry about security or ID really, because he can just change clothes, make a German accent, and there you go."
Although I'm pretty sure they still had like identification papers. It's not like an ID badge, but
also people's mannerisms and how they hold up their fingers can.
I really wish. I wish movies would do away with the thing where the security guard gets so flustered that he just lets somebody in. I wish because realistically that would not go down at all.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there were a lot of problems like that. Like, for as much as a lot of people who like the movie like No Man's Land, it's a little insane that they just completely ignore landmines as an issue at all.
Landmines, barbed wire, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I feel like anyone who's stepped on those landmines is already dead, and no one's gone out on that battlefield to just to put new ones there. Also,
there's still landmines there to this day.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the thing where it's just like, I'm just gonna run across this battlefield with brute force that it totally works is kind of a little ridiculous when that was a major proponent of No Man's Land was landmines. Again, it's a sort of thing where it's like you ignore all the strategy elements of wars and battles for essentially an entire movie.
But it also I think, putting in a historical context definitely does a disservice to the people who fought in World War I to not acknowledge that was a major proponent of that war.
Well, I think they acknowledged that it was a major proponent, and I can see how some people might see that it disrespects those veterans because one woman does it so easily. But if that's the case, then I have to look at the Captain America films and like all these other war films that portray heroism very differently, and they do certain things to play up the the theatricality of it. And to that point, I just say that if it shows the soldiers being brave and fighting, and not like if they were like cowering and like not doing anything, and one woman said, "Come on, don't be cowards, you men," or something akin to that, I can see how that might be just blatant disrespectful. Mm-hmm. But in the No Man's Land scene, I think the main point of that and what it works towards is that it's kind of a catch-22 because it kind of solidifies Wonder Woman's resolve in that this is what I'm doing. I'm supposed to do this and I can do it, but then the same town that she saves gets destroyed. And I think that works for her. Like you said she was headstrong. And I think they portray Wonder Woman as headstrong too much, not only in these more recent comics, but like some of the cartoons. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a good place to at least start off with her, because by the end of the movie, I don't think she would handle those situations the same way as she did in the beginning of the movie. Because what I didn't really realize when my experience with Wonder Woman really starts with the old Justice League cartoons. That's how I was introduced to Wonder Woman, and I picked up a few comments just to like read about her. But I never realized that she never grew up with any other children. She was the only
child.
Yeah, and so I feel like she really is just imitating those people that she trained with, but all those other Amazons have seen war and
Mhm.
she hasn't. And so when she goes there thinking she's just gonna be a hero, and then she gets like that shock of reality that that's not how it works. I think that really works for her character, and I think that's why she'll hopefully be a wiser, more not laid back, but like not so headstrong Wonder Woman in future movies. I do think her mom kind of I do think her mom kind of screwed her over though by not telling her certain information.
Yeah, but that's always been a part of Hippolyta and Diana's relationship, is Hippolyta being way too overprotective and Diana rebelling, which
Also, I'm
I
not
like
sure if
that part
Wonder
of the
Woman is.
relationship.
Yeah. Also, not sure if Wonder Woman is banished or not from Themyscira. I'm not sure.
She's
why
not banished at this moment. I think in this canon, it's sort of playing into the whole she's choosing to be in man's world thing.
Yeah, she had to go back eventually, or maybe she can't find it. Maybe she can't find it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's something that goes into that whole time gap. But going back to what you're saying, well, a couple points. I actually agree with you a lot, Zod, about I don't really see the No Man's thing being disrespectful towards vets specifically because she's not doing it without them.
Right.
You know, she's aiding them, but they're right next to her, helping her with all these things. And then especially one of the few action scenes sequences I actually really did like, where they all hold up the door and she bounces off of it.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I get visually there is the hole there beneath her and she's above, but really I think thematically it was a thing of teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were doing as much as they could, and that actually helped her do as much as she could.
That's one of the things I've always liked about Wonder Woman, the character, is the fact that she is about teamwork, even though when it comes to power and strength, she's even stronger than Superman. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But she doesn't rely on herself to be the only person who takes over things.
But then kind of going back, I don't, maybe we'll see this as the movies go on, but I kind of doubt it. I didn't really see that whole, I'm learning that I'm too headstrong and that's putting people in danger, and now I'm having this realization and I'm growing as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of my problems with Wonder Woman is that I feel that at the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, she hasn't changed, because so much of the ending is about confirming all of the notions that she had at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I think it would have been a better arc if she learned that some of the stuff that she was taught as a kid was wrong, or her opinions about humanity and everything shifted in a way. It doesn't seem like her opinions or her ideas change in any way in this film, and that's not really faithful to her character.
I think at least one thing that changes is her perception of what man is. Like, her mother told her that Ares infected man, and that is the reason why they're doing these horrible things. But by the end of the movie, she realizes that while Ares was feeding information, there were going to be, like, World War II happened, all the Vietnam War happened. She realizes that it's man fighting against man. And the only thing that stops her from raging out and just giving up is that she met Steve Trevor, and that every time she doubts man or thinks that man isn't worth saving, she'll remember Steve Trevor and that there are other people like him. And so I think that by the end of the movie, I think that her understanding of what man is and how she has to fight this evil differently will affect how she fights in general, you know? It kind of bugs me that there's a 100-year gap.
Yeah, that's really a downfall in her story arc, because in that moment, all we see is that when Ares is defeated, all of the men who were putting together all of the missiles all stop what they're doing and start hugging each other.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, which it's also like, did we change history? Does World War II not happen? Because I'm not sure what this universe is actually setting up.
Well, I actually am not really against that scene on its own, because we've had movies where that's sort of been a thing. Although a lot of times in war movies, a lot of times in war movies, it's the two sides hugging each other because of an event that's happening, like the movie Noelle or something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not really against that, because in that moment, I know that the idea is that she changed their minds. It's not just, oh, Ares is gone, so suddenly they're not evil, you know. It's supposed to be, I don't really think it works, but I get that the idea is that they see her show mercy and still win, and it makes them think differently about their actions in the war. But since that's all we see and that's where it stops, it really just sort of looks like, oh, Ares was defeated and now all of the evil men are suddenly good.
Yeah, it's so weird.
From a cinematic perspective, it really feels disingenuous and kind of copping out and really also childish.
And also the fact that it's pretty much been stated now that the sequel is going to take place in modern times. If they don't address this World War II, Vietnam, all that kind of stuff, it will seem like Wonder Woman is a complete asshole for not helping support people who are victims of these tremendous atrocities. Like, you're opening that door for a lot of problems during that thing. And you know, when they're criticizing Superman and Batman v Superman for not being aware of the people, actually no, that wasn't the case. It was for killing a warlord and doing all that kind of stuff. That would have been more interesting if it was about the fight with Zod. But I have so
Zod, you're making this conversation confusing.
Yeah, I have so many. Man of Steel just always just breaks my heart because I love Superman a lot. I think, have you guys read Superman Birthright?
No.
I've read a little bit of it.
Oh, please read that. That's my favorite Superman story ever.
Okay.
If they literally just adapted that Superman story to film, it would be perfect, because people always think that, I know I'm getting off topic of Wonder Woman.
Oh, it's okay.
I feel like people don't think Superman has a personality, but he has such a personality. He's so likable. He's like the only superhero that you would really just want to hang out with, because he's so nice and he really understands what it means to help people. Because like this dude, he's a Kansas farmer. He grew up on a farm, and he's socially awkward, not as much as his Clark Kent persona, but he is in that way more human than most people give him credit for. And the problem I have with Man of Steel is that Superman he's so reactionary. He doesn't do anything
And then with Batman v Superman, they just kind of made him an asshole who didn't really care about all the people he was hurting, which really seems so against his character in basically every canon of his that I'm familiar with.
And my biggest frustration with Batman v Superman is it fails to live up to that name. It should have been Batman v Superman, not Lex Luthor and Doomsday and all this shit. It should have been Batman versus Superman. How hard is it to do that?
Well, and especially if they did do it in more of a Dawn of the Planet of the Apes style way, where you actually agree with both sides, and that's what makes it difficult.
I mean, I would have liked Lex Luthor if he stepped in and said, hey, with all this destruction, I'm rebuilding Metropolis under a better image, and we must take care of this menace. And he teams up with Wayne Corp and, Lex Corp and what is it? Wayne Enterprises. So those companies team up, and then they start to realize some of his nefarious things. But I would have preferred a different actor play Lex Luthor. And I mean, at this point, I just kind of want a Flashpoint. Let's just say that this is a crazy universe and we need the Flash to fix it.
Yeah, see, I was thinking how they could make Superman a better character without undoing what happened in the rest of the films. And really, the only thing I can think of was either Flashpoint or what I was thinking would be kind of crazy if it's when Superman died, he didn't die. He went to the future, that future Barry. We know he came in the Vision in the Batcave. He went to that future, and he saw the destruction Darkseid caused, and he was working with a battle-hardened future Justice League, and he learned the things that he didn't learn in Batman, Superman, and Man of Steel, and then he gets sent back to the present day where the Justice League hasn't formed yet, and he forms the Justice League knowing all the stuff that he's learned, and then we can get a Man of Steel 2 that focuses on him, which... yeah, that was my crazy thing that won't, undo all the decisions that he's made in the past movies.
Right.
But
yeah, it's really hard because this franchise is already screwed up really early. So
yeah, I mean, it already has such a warped foundation. How are you going to build an actual house on that? Yeah,
and even though I wasn't really fond of Wonder Woman, I can clearly state that it's the best movie out of all the movies that have come out yet.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even think that you have to think about it that hard. I think all this stuff of it's the best superhero movie ever, / it's the best DC movie ever, / it's literally better than The Dark Knight is...
It's not better than... I don't think it's better than
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, that's way too ridiculous. Come on. It's
Yeah,
definitely
also we
not
had
better than
Logan
the animated one
this
like-
year, and yeah, if you're going to compare it to DC movies, I can kind of see your argument, but like when you're comparing it to
Logan.
Logan, which came out just a month prior,
Mhm.
Right.
it's just like no. And honestly, I think X-23 is a much more interesting female character. Granted, she's not a woman, but
Well, she's also not the protagonist, but
I would love to see an X-23 movie. Just like
please, yes, please.
use the same
that actress
actors.
blew me away. That actress really
Yeah.
blew me away. I hope she gets nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Dead serious. 'Cause she-
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think so because children actors are almost always screwed over, even when they do amazing performances. Like basically since Anna Paquin, they've always been screwed over. But I would really love it if she was nominated and won. That would be awesome.
Yeah, so going back to Wonder Woman before we go away,
Oh,
one of the things that I wanted to say about the movie was I appreciate the concept of, okay, so even though I wasn't fond of the movie, I do like the fact that we're starting to push for more female-led superhero films because women need to enjoy seeing themselves on screen as well as the guys. And so far, we haven't had that many prominent female characters in superhero films really at all.
Right.
well, especially like, my big problem with the females in superhero movies, because they're basically all Marvel, is all of the women are the same person. They come in like different costumes, but personality-wise and trait-wise, they're all the exact same person. There's no, when you costume and you take away the colors, there's not really any difference between Gamora and Black Widow.
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like Gamora is just like a green shade of Black Widow. Sometimes I feel like her relationship with Star-Lord kind of changes that. But I really, really hope Captain Marvel. I feel like Captain Marvel will be something special. And I
hope so too, because Brie Larson is just I mean, I don't know anything
Well,
about Captain Marvel from the comics, but Brie Larson is just
You're
so
getting an
awesome.
Oscar award-winning actress to play this role, and she has never. I wasn't fond of her in Kong Skull Island.
Well, that wasn't
but-
her fault
Yeah,
as
it
an
wasn't.
actress. It was just that she was literally given nothing to do.
Yeah, but she definitely seems like somebody who can deliver.
Mhm. Especially big, especially like, I could really see her humanizing superheroes because it seems like she's capable of doing a lot of the big stuff that superheroes need to do, but in a more down-to-earth kind of concept.
But on a positive note of this film, I think this film might influence better films to come. I think we're starting to reach a new age of more inclusive superhero films. I mean, Black Panther looks absolutely amazing.
Mhm. And again, just as a movie in its own right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm excited for that director because he's from my hometown. He's from here in Cali.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And so it's he made it. And so I'm hoping he hasn't disappointed me yet. He's only had 2 professional movies, Fruitvale and Creed, but he hasn't let me down yet. And so I know Marvel kind of, like directors, creative influence kind of, gets cut down when you're trying to do that type of superhero film,
Mhm.
But I hope he still shines through in that. So yeah, it was great talking with you guys. Really
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Please come back soon. It's really fun to have you around.
Yeah, sure. I would love to join you when I see War of the Planet of the Apes. I would love to have a discussion about the whole trilogy. If it's good, then I would love to have that discussion.
Yeah, we're probably going to have
let's
several.
Definitely do that.
Because I know that we're doing like one immediately after, just like right after we see the film. But yeah, let's definitely come on and have another discussion on it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Actually, once we're done with this podcast, I'm going out to get some materials to make handmade Planet of the Apes shirts for the movie.
Handmade, wow, that sounds.
Yeah, it'll be cool. It's going to be the window, the Caesar symbol on the front, and then mine is going to be Caesar. It's half of Caesar's face with the war makeup, and the other half is Ape shall not kill ape, which is based on a painting I actually made. But Ren's t-shirt, it's going to be Koba, but the other side of the face, and then his is going to be human work. It'll be awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It'll be fun.
All right, guys. I gotta get out of here soon.
Yeah.
All right.
About that.
Yeah,
all
well,
right,
thanks
But
for.
it's your own fault. You're too entertaining.
Yeah, yeah.
Appreciate it. I'll definitely look forward to this video being posted. I'll watch it. Thumbs it up, and
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.